Uh,
So I guess kind of backtracking a little bit. Now, you had mentioned that the Grateful Dead was one of the bands that just kind of opened your eyes to, the different possibilities of what music could be. And
yeah,
I mean, I would say, without a doubt, going down in history as the most covered band in the history of all bands, because everybody I know has played a Grateful Dead cover at one point or another.
yeah,
So,
right.
let me ask you: did you like get into the Dead first, or was it more of did you like stumble onto it through Jerry Garcia band?
Well, I got into it first. Some friends of mine, I guess I was about 20 years old, starting to play in some rock bands out of high school, and one guy was a Deadhead, and he would give me a bootleg, every
Yeah,
couple
yeah,
weeks. Listening, like that's cool, and we played a couple of their songs, and eventually he ended up taking me to some shows, and I just like it was like it opened my mind to a lot of different ways of thinking about life. Even like
yeah,
there's the Grateful Dead adage is like dance like no one's looking. It's like because no one is looking at you. I remember that striking me the most at a Grateful Dead show. Like I did two shows on 2 nights in a row, and looking around, no one's watching anyone dance. They're just doing their own thing, and it felt just liberating. Like I didn't have to conform to anything.
yeah,
I could just be myself, and I think that's why a lot of people are attracted to the Grateful Dead because you can just be yourself, and it seems like you're accepted. And it's other people are in a club. I mean, I started growing dreadlocks and wearing tie dyes and patchouli all the time. And I'd work day jobs and plan my vacations around going to tour with the Grateful Dead. Yeah, it just that's the lifestyle and just the feeling that there is more than what the status quo allows, and more ways of free opening me up to free thinking, I think as well. And I would
yeah,
say that was that first bootleg that was bestowed upon me. That was the key that really turned things around in my life. I'm sure I was going to go into mechanical drafting. I was going to be an engineering drawing major in college. And I remember just sitting there like in a classroom, like I'm going to be behind a desk in an office. you know, uh, that doesn't sound like what I want to do, And so I guess that also pushed me to pursue music more, you
yeah,
know, and through,
yeah.
hard work and a lot of, lucky breaks as well as, Cornmeal was able to travel. Well, we did 48 states. We played 48 states in those 20 years that, we've been playing. And I think that says a lot. You
Yeah,
know?
everywhere
People
but
ask me, well, where you been? I'm like, well, name it, name a city. And I've pretty much been there, near there, or
yeah,
whatever happened. It's a beautiful country we live in. A lot of it's undeveloped, and I've met a lot of amazing people along the way. And just can't believe the support. And I think it's a noble trade that I'm in is performing music for people that helps them forget about their troubles for a minute. And I really can't wait to get back to it. And
yeah,
it's really scary the times we're living in right now with this pandemic shutting down live music because friends and business owners are losing their businesses. We just played that benefit last night. I was telling you with Terrapin Flyer. It's a
mhm,
benefit for a club called Martyrs here in Chicago, and it's been a mainstay for at least 25 years. I guess mid 90s is when they started up, with the live music, and that's where the band Dark Star Orchestra got their start. And I remember going to see them back in the late 90s. That's when they could still smoke indoors. And everyone there was smoking about 3 to 4 packs of cigarettes, and it was difficult to get past the first set because with your eyes are burning just hearing. Even though they had 4 industrial size smoke heaters, it was just a little too much. But yeah, so we're and throughout the years, just about every band I played with has played at Martyrs. It's my home away from home. I'm really good friends with the owner and the people that work there, and just anytime I go in there, I had permanent guest list status. Just because of all the shows I played and just the friends I've made there.
yeah, yeah,
It's like if I can do anything to help, I really don't want to see that club go in Chicago, as well as a lot of other clubs. So that's what we're doing right now. And I think we're going to try to do another live stream with Terrapin Flyer again in about 2 weeks too.
Yeah, and I would say that, um, at this point where we are with the pandemic, with all the protests and riots, I mean, everyone's just kind of on edge. Everyone's divided. It is at this point in time people need music the most, because
Uh,
if it's one thing that unifies, um, you know, I'll just use it as an example. It's one thing that can bring some hardcore, Christian conservatives and some far left liberals together. It is good bluegrass music, because it just cuts down all those cultural barriers. Because I mean, I don't know, at least for me, bluegrass, it's one of the, it descends from one of the oldest, genres in American history. And it's like just listening to pure, unfiltered American culture, just at the root of what it means to be an American, whether it's
yeah.
like those old like Irish folk ballads, or I mean, just it just strikes a nerve.
Well, bluegrass is a combination of Irish fiddle music and
Mhm.
blues music.
Yeah.
It really is a melding of two separate genres that became distinctly American, like jazz music or the blues or whatever have you. Um, yeah, America is a melting pot of music, and such creativity and ingenuity, and it does get everyone up. I read once somewhere that there are three V's of bluegrass: virtue, vitality, and vigor. That gets you up and gets you moving. I'll tell you what, man. You don't want to. We played a lot of bluegrass fest where people bring their lawn chairs, but they're not sitting in them very long once we start getting them playing. They're down front dancing. That's where we like to see people as well.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I forget where I read it. It was an article I was reading, and it was just about the parallels of the history of the banjo and the history of America, and just how banjo in itself started off as one of the earliest stringed instruments in Africa, with the gourd and the different strings and that, and how it was transplanted over here through slave trade and the such, and it was just planted in all these different cultural areas, whether it's the West, or whether it's Virginia, West Virginia, but I mean just all along the coastline. So since the inception of this country, the banjo has been there playing its anthem one way or another.
Yeah, evidently, like in the mid 1600s is when it first made its appearance in North America,
Hmm.
and yeah, the slave trade was brought here that way. And then it was adopted, and it's just a chord and a board with a couple strings up. So I think only about 3 to 4 strings actually originally, no frets. But it was a tuned to an open chord and played in like a frailing style. So you have percussion and you also have melody as well. So it's kind of like a two instruments kind of in one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I mean that makes sense, because primarily, just the banjo and fiddle music that was in the old dance parties, like the I don't know, the banjo, it just fills in so much space. You know what I mean? It makes
Uh,
it sound like it just makes, even with two guys up there, it makes it sound like it's a fuller sound.
yeah, right. Yeah.
So I guess I mean, when you started getting into banjo and started learning about it, I mean, which style did you prefer right off the bat? Did you try to learn how to claw hammer first, or were you always pretty strict on the three fingers?
I tried both at first and realized that the 3 finger style required a little bit more attention. So I concentrated on that and then sort of let the claw hammer go by the way. And that's something I brought back into my playing within the last year or so. You know, and it's a lot different. Yeah, definitely a lot different. There's different tunings as well.
Hmm.
I was completely different, but you don't have to wear picks, and you can kind of bring that anywhere. So like I just have a little old lightweight banjo that I tag around, like carry with me. I can take it down to the beach, or
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
anywhere outside I want to. I don't have to worry about it. And yeah, the claw hammer is fun. It's more guitar-ish sounding, where you're not picking every individual note. You can strum. You're galloping, and the claw hammer. Like I said, the claw hammers. It's different. It's more. I guess it's you're always keeping like a rhythm, and then you're
Yeah,
adding
right.
on, so that is a little bit more like two instruments than I would say like the Scruggs or the three finger style.
Yeah, I love clawhammer style, primarily when you get into like those different minors and stuff,
Mm,
because it just
yeah,
sounds like that dark bayou music. Oh, I love it.
yeah, right. And it was listening to Doc Watson recordings that really got me into
Oh
clawhammer.
yeah.
On Merle was like the clawhammer player that played with him a lot. Just the two of them was like just so much sound just out of a couple instruments, you know.
So again, well, you mentioned Doc Watson. What were some other artists, or particularly other banjo players that you kind of identified with, and kind of looked up to as you were learning the craft?
Well, Ralph Stanley, of course, Earl
Yeah.
Scruggs, of course, you know, the traditional styles. But I also got into Tony Trischka and Bela Fleck. Not
I
so
love
much
Bela
the
Fleck.
right, yeah, he's amazing. You know, we played one time down in Florida, Magnolia Fest. That's in Sewanee. That's at the Wani Day of what that there. The Allman Brothers used to have a little festival there,
Mhm.
um, Spring Fest. But we were down there, and the Flecktones were there, and Bela Fleck sat in with us.
Wow.
He stood right just to my right side, and I tell you, that was the most nerve wracking. Just oh my god, I pooped my pants twice. Here's my solo, and I play it, and it's just like, you know, there's Bela Fleck just watching everything I'm doing. I'm like, oh my god, don't look at him, don't look at him. I got through my solo, and it was great. He's like, okay, it's yours. It's like, okay, let me show you how it's done. I swear, for almost 2 days, I didn't talk to anyone. I was just so affected by that performance. But Bela Fleck is such a nice guy, you know, and he was just so nice about it, and encouraging as well.
Oh, that is awesome. They always tell you don't meet your heroes, but I love those examples that they're just stand-up guys.
Yeah,
So,
right.
so did you get a chance to kind of hang out with him after the show, get to know him a little bit, or was
Yes, yeah,
he?
and other festivals as well that we ended up in the same circuit, you know. So after being, you know, I wouldn't say we're friends, but yeah, we've met several times, and
That's
just
awesome.
really, you know, genuinely nice person. You know, he's really great, and I really like the stuff that he did with Zakir Hussain and Edgar Meyer, this trio. We got to play not with them, but at the same festival at High Sierra one year out in Northern
Mhm.
California, and that was just like, you know, you normally don't hear tabla and banjo together, but with Edgar Meyer, man, they just made it really happen.